And that's the entire intro.
Here, I'll kick it off.
No.
Do 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 do.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Nerds from Nowhere. This is my sexy voice, and I'm your nerd host, Devin.
And I'm your nerd host, Joe. This is my sexy voice. If you like 80-year-old invalids.
I kind of do.
I know.
Wait, you knew about that?
I know everything about you. I watch you on hidden cameras all day.
Oh. Those are where those hidden cameras came from.
Yeah.
Yeah. That explains a lot.
I'm not surprised you couldn't figure it out. I labeled them all as not a hidden camera.
Well, that's why I kind of figured they were hidden cameras.
Oh.
See, I'm quite intuitive about that.
You're pretty crafty.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't remove them. Just like there seem to be hidden cameras in my house.
I'll make sure to step up my charisma, I guess. I'm trying to think of a family safe thing to say.
Charisma works.
My charisma, my camera appeal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm going to wear tuxes all the time.
I don't own a tux.
We'll get one and start wearing it.
Yeah, I'll go rent one tomorrow. Probably not tomorrow. It's Sunday. I'm pretty sure everything will be closed.
Well, to take things to a more somber note, Stan Lee passed away. That's very sad.
Yeah. That is really sad.
The whole world weeps except for Bill Maher.
Except for Bill Maher, who's a jerk.
Yeah. And Devin and I everyone's paying tribute. Devin and I wanted to do our little thing. We thought maybe we'd start talking a little bit about what his creations mean for us. Devin, what does Stan Lee's creations mean for you? Or to you?
I mean, how do you even describe that? You can't. End of story. No, I just think Stan Lee is great because, I mean, first off, he obviously created some of the best comics out there. I mean, you got like Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, The Incredible Hulk, others. And then, of course, he was just head of Marvel for forever, and so he's associated with pretty much every Marvel comic in some way. Had some sort of creative influence. But he just... he was so inspirational, and everything was about positivity, and his catchphrase was Excelsior, which is even higher, and he was just so positive and so happy, and he really was just, he seemed like a very good person, and all those characters that he created, it was all, and it wasn't that they'd never faced hardship or anything, but they always tried their best, and they always tried to make the world a better place, and so did he. And that's what he means to me, is trying to influence the world for better.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think that I first learned about, civil rights and social justice by watching X-Men on Saturday morning.
Right.
How many other Saturday morning cartoons packed that kind of a message and explained it in such a way that adults and children could understand and relate to.
Right.
But before that, maybe Star Trek, because there were a lot of, justice and civil rights issues kind of explained there as well. But Stan Lee, I think it was something that was really important to him, and it's hard for me to believe that people are, now that he's gone, that people are choosing now to talk about how much of a racist he was, when he was has been an advocate for how long, like 50 years, longer,
Yeah.
60 years. When were the X-Men created, in the 60s?
Uh, maybe 70s, but yeah, I mean somewhere in there.
I'm googling it. I want to be right. Oh, cool. The movie came out in 2000. Thanks, Google. Forget it.
Apparently, they were created in the 2000s, Joe.
Okay, 1963.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, right, there are a lot of things that were going on at the time, when he was very socially relevant at the time. But it's, you have those issues explained in a way that's relatable but engaging. And then you look at his characters; they're all his heroes. They're so relatable as people, not just I'm a superhero, I'm amazing, I always do what's right. There's always a sense of conflict going on within them. Spider-Man was just poor as dirt all the time
Yeah.
because he his whole life was saving people, and you don't get paid for that, if you are a vigilante, which I suppose is appropriate.
Yeah. No, and I think that was always a great thing, and it did deal with yeah, just interesting subject matter. I always loved Spider-Man. The whole concept of Spider-Man was just interesting to me. The concept that he didn't immediately go out and do the right thing.
Yeah.
He'd gone out and sought fame and fortune, and then realized through the death of his uncle that there was actually a higher calling, and he needed to do something else.
Yeah.
And those kinds of lessons, I think, were interesting and appropriate, and the reason so many of his characters are so well loved.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I Spider-Man is my favorite superhero, for whatever that's worth. I've always loved him. Again, Saturday mornings.
Yeah.
I remember getting to the end of the series, and Madam Web. Spoiler alert, I guess, for people who haven't watched that cartoon from the 90s. At the end, Madam Web takes him off to find Mary Jane in the out in the multiverse. And I remember after that, they said, that was the series finale. And as a child, I was like, no, that can't be it. That there has to be more. Like, when did I find out, what happens with Mary Jane? I remember that was the first time I was so invested in something and a little crushed to have it end.
Right. Yeah, that series ended so, I don't know if I want to say poorly, but it was disappointing.
It was kind of a cliffhanger.
Yeah. I assume it got canceled before its time.
Yeah, you would have hoped that they would have been able to sum up all the stories and have some kind of happy ending for him.
Yeah.
But it was it was really good. I've always enjoyed X-Men and Spider-Man, and we'll see what the future brings for those creations. I saw this. I don't know if you'd call it a meme. I guess you would. A meme on Facebook in one of the groups I belong to. Mm-hmm. They took that scene from Toy Story 3 when Andy's giving all of his toys to that little girl, and they put Stan Lee's face on Andy and what's his name? The MCU guy, the guy in charge.
Oh, Feige.
Yeah, they put his face on the little girl, and they just he's like, this is Iron Man and and he's going through like all these different characters that he's created and telling him how to take care of them. And then at the very end, Spider-Man is on Woody's face. Is on Woody's body anyway, and he's like, and take extra special care of him. And I was just like, why would you do this to me, internet?
Oh yeah, no kidding.
It was really sweet, but I think they're taking good care of those characters, and I'm excited to see where they go. What was your favorite Stan Lee cameo?
My favorite Stan Lee cameo. Oh man, I don't know. Give me a second to think on that.
Okay, I'll tell you.
Let's hear yours.
Mine is from one. It's the first or second Iron Man movie when he's Hugh Hefner. That's hilarious to me.
Oh, that is funny.
I think
that
it
is
was
a great one.
I think it was like at the height of the Girls Next Door, that reality show that took place at the Playboy Mansion.
Right.
So it was fresh on everyone's mind, but I thought that was really hilarious having him show up in Hugh Hefner's robe.
Yeah, I think and there were so many that were awesome, but I think my favorite is from Guardians of the Galaxy 2, when Rocket's like flying through space and he like getting sucked through a wormhole or something. I forget. It's been a while since I watched Guardians of the Galaxy 2. It wasn't my favorite movie, but Stan Lee's sitting out there, and it's almost like he's a watcher.
Yeah.
And that kind of made me happy inside.
Well, I love that they decided to be like, hey, guess what? He's a character in all of these cameos. It's the same guy. He's just like observing, right? He's a watcher, or he works for the Watchers. I'm like, that's
brilliant.
Freaking genius.
Yeah. So that made me all happy inside. And there's probably several people out there listening that are like, what are you guys talking about? That's okay.
There probably aren't that many listening to our podcast that don't know at least a little bit what we're talking about.
That's probably true. If you don't know what a watcher is, Google it. Yeah. Or not. If you don't care that much, don't do it.
They basically watch things.
Yeah.
And have
they're characters. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They have really big heads.
That's all you need to know about them.
Yeah. They watch stuff. They don't interfere. They just watch stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I just want to say, thank you to Stan Lee and his family, and we're with you at this time and with the rest of the world celebrating your life right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Stan Lee, you're the greatest. You will be missed, but you won't be forgotten. Thanks for everything you've done.
Speaking of Stan Lee and the Spider-Verse, have you seen Venom yet?
I have seen Venom.
I thought we'd talk about it. It's been long enough. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Venom yet, I'm going to talk a little bit about it. So you might want to skip ahead. But what did you think? Tell me your thoughts on Venom, and I'll tell you what I thought.
So it took me a minute to get used to the universe. Because you really have to divorce yourself from the comics. Mm-hmm. Like, or even just, like you said, like we watched Spider-Man when we were kids and stuff. Like, it's a very different character than it was. It's a very different storyline. Everything's different. Yeah. Once I was able just to tell myself, forget what I know about Venom. It's not the same story. Then I quite enjoyed it. But it took me a minute to get past that. Because I have in my head what Venom is and should be.
Yeah. And traditionally, he inhabits Spider-Man first.
Yeah.
Which is why he's very Spider-Man-esque.
Right.
But in this one, they kind of skipped that whole thing. In my opinion, it still ended up working fine.
Yeah, no, it really did. It was good.
I,
I think they did a pretty good job with it.
I was worried about it, but it seemed to work just fine. And they didn't put like the spider symbol on his chest or
Right,
anything, and that was a good call because it wouldn't have made sense at all for him to be copying Spider-Man in any way.
right.
So they really didn't. They stayed away from that. He wasn't, web slinging around the city or anything like that. And he wasn't using any webbing. He was just using those black tendrils.
Hmm.
So it worked fine, and honestly, there's no reason why it couldn't fit right into the MCU.
That's true.
It took place in Chicago instead of in New York.
Yeah,
So there's no reason why this exact Venom couldn't go and party with Spider-Man for a movie if they wanted to do that.
yeah. Although I'm fine if he doesn't.
Yeah, I could go either way.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be upset. I mean, they did the whole Venom thing. They did a poor job of it last time, so I'm not real excited to see, you know, emo Peter Parker come back.
yeah. Well, nobody wants emo Peter Parker to come back,
Yeah,
but now that Spider-Man's being done by Disney and Disney's done a pretty good job, I would be interested to see how they handled it.
yeah, it could be way good if you do it
Yeah,
right. I mean, we've been a part of those stories that are really engaging and really entertaining to watch. So we know that whole conflict, that inner conflict between Peter Parker and Venom, can be really good because we've seen it, just not in the movies yet.
yeah. So I think that would be interesting. And I got kind of excited at the end of the movie. And spoiler alerts for people listening who haven't seen Venom, but they have Woody Harrelson who's playing. Oh shoot, what is the name of that character? It's completely.
Carnage.
Well, yeah, I mean it's Carnage, but I can't think of the guy's name.
Oh, the red-headed serial killer guy.
Yeah. I know his name, and it's completely left me. But yeah, he's Carnage. So, and he doesn't actually. I mean, he just says there will be carnage, and so it's obviously leading up to Carnage. But I had
Cletus
several.
Cassidy.
Huh?
Cletus Cassidy.
Cletus Cassidy. Yes. And but I saw it with a friend, and I've talked to a couple other people that'd seen it, and all of them were like confused by that end scene because apparently they don't know who Carnage is.
Carnage is the scariest bad guy in the Marvel universe, in my opinion. He
Yeah,
terrifies me.
yeah, he's definitely scary, and I'm curious how they're going to do it because I know in the comics, Carnage is basically Venom's kid, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Venom reproduces by mitosis,
Hmm.
whatever. Like he splits off and
Yeah.
makes a kid, and it bonds with Cletus Cassidy, and they become super evil. And
Yeah. It's.
so I'm curious if that's what they'll do.
I mean, I would really love to see another one. I don't know if it did well enough for them to do a sequel, but I would love to see another one and see Carnage.
Yeah, Venom versus Carnage. It would be fun.
It would be good. It would be really good. I was surprised with the amount of head biting off there was for a PG-13 movie.
Yeah,
They ate
yeah,
like a dozen heads,
yeah.
but it was
I
fun.
was okay with it. Yeah, you can eat as many heads as you want. That's what I say.
Yeah.
Eat all the heads.
I mean, look at Deadpool's success. If they wanted to, they could make the sequel to Venom rated R, especially
True.
if Carnage is in it. They could have some really disturbing stuff.
Yeah.
I just remembered one of my biggest complaints about it was Venom like talking like a bro.
Oh,
You know, like they would be in something. He'd be like, "Get it, dude," or, well, you know, it's just like kind of out of character for him, a little bit.
that makes sense.
Like,
I hadn't really thought too much about it, but
he'd be
yeah.
like, "Holy shit, that was totes scary, dude," and be like, "You're breaking the immersion a little bit for me." Oh crap! I said a thing I can't say.
Yeah, he did.
I'm gonna have to go and edit it out. Dang it! That's the first time. It's the first time. I want to. There's nobody watching, so we're fine.
We need a swear jar.
We do. I'm gonna dub over it, like, "Holy bananas."
Holy guacamole, Batman.
If I remember, I'm gonna go back in and just dub over bananas.
That makes me happy inside. Oh.
Anyway, Venom. Oh, how did the Extra Life fundraiser go? Our last episode, if you listened to it, we did for a fundraiser for sick kids. Did you hear?
Really poorly. Nobody donated anything.
Thousands of children died because of you guys.
Yeah, thousands. No, I think it went really well. I know we earned thousands of dollars.
I know at least more than 3 because one of the third raters had to shave his beard.
Yes.
That
but
was
I don't know
deal.
the exact number.
Yeah, a lot. So if you are listening and you donated, thank you so much. You helped some sick kids. You should feel good about yourself.
Yeah, you really should. We thank you.
And I believe anytime you want, you can go to extra-life.com and donate to sick kids. I think they accept donations all the time.
I believe it's .org.
Oh, excuse me, .org.
Yeah. But yeah, I believe that is correct. And I believe if you really want to, you can still search for the Thread Raiders one and donate to them. But you certainly don't have to. You can just donate.
Yeah. Definitely go to .org.com is not a thing. So.
Yeah. Extra-life.org. And donate there. Because .com is not a thing. And .com is a thing, but extra-life.com is not a thing.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Boy, did I make that confusing.
Let's do our current addictions. Devin, what's your current addiction?
My current addiction is Fallout 76. Like so many other people in the universe right now.
Heck yes.
Yeah.
So, what is about Fallout 76?
So, if you've ever played a Fallout video game, you'll know somewhat what I'm talking about. If you haven't, you don't. But Fallout is set in a post-apocalyptic world, but it's like 1950s post-apocalyptic. Like everything is based off of 1950s idea of the future. So everything's like nuclear powered and everything kind of looks like not too far distant 1950s futuristic, and then it got destroyed by nukes. And so I just love that world. The music is all 1950s. It's just, it's wonderful. I love it. And so I've loved all the Fallout games. They're so much fun. And then Fallout 76, they've added it's online multiplayer. But the reason I think it's brilliant is it's not like your average MMO where it's just hundreds and hundreds of people playing. The servers are limited to 25 people in this huge world, which also works with Fallout, because there shouldn't be hundreds and hundreds of people running around in this world that's been destroyed by nuclear bombs. There should only be a few people surviving at the moment. So it works out really well, but it's really fun because if you want to hang out with your friends, you can meet up and run around in this nuclear wasteland together. And if you don't want to hang out with people, it's fine because it's really easy to avoid other people. There's so much space to avoid other people. So I think it's a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
And it works really well. They did a really good job with the mechanics and everything. I love the game.
That's great. That's almost necessary. I think you're going to start seeing that more and more.
Yeah.
Because that's, I think, a lot of people's complaints with MMORPGs.
Mhm.
Where you're like, I don't want to be one of 10,000 people in this square mile. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to have to fight for loot or for mobs or anything. So if you keep it small numbers like that, but you can occasionally run into each other, or you can play with people you actually know whenever you want, that's the appeal.
Yeah. And I think it's handled better than any other game I've played because it really it just feels like I'm playing Fallout 3. Except for if I wanted, I could be like, hey, I'm going to join my friends.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what I wanted in a video game.
Exactly. I am hoping, and I know that they are out. I know that they listen, as you know, along with the tens of thousands of other people. But BioWare execs, please listen and do the same thing with Mass Effect.
Yes. Yeah, it can be done.
Please don't abandon Mass Effect. My favorite franchise. Bring it back with small servers where you can play with your friends whenever you want. Let me design my own starship and crew and all that, and let me play. It's gonna be real nice. I know they've kicked around the idea of an MMORPG based in that universe before. So do it now.
I don't want an MMO. I want Mass Effect, but where I can play with my friends. And speaking of which, on November 7th on N7 Day, they dropped a trailer-ish. Did you see that?
I did not. Tell me the news.
I wouldn't really call it a trailer. They just it was this video, and it had like, what does N7 mean to you? And I had a bunch of people, and they were talking about why they loved Mass Effect in the universe. For those of you listening, if you don't know what Mass Effect is, it's a video game, and what N7 is, it's the elite military in Mass Effect. But anyway, so I just had a bunch of people talking, and they're like, N7 to me is being able to explore worlds and, on creativity, all this stuff. And they interviewed a bunch of different people, and at the very end, they had Casey Hudson, who did the original trilogy, or was the creative director behind the original trilogy. Mm-hmm. And he was working, and he was like, to me, N7 is exploring what the next Mass Effect game is going to be. Yeah. So apparently
that's all I needed to hear.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I got all excited. I was like, yes, that is the best news I've heard ever. Because they brought him back, and they're working on another game.
Awesome. I would not be upset if it was based in the Andromeda universe, so they can still stay away from the events of the first trilogy.
Yeah, whatever they do, I don't care if they continue in the Andromeda universe or if they go back to the first universe. I was just happy it's Casey Hudson again, honestly, because I think he did a better job. Yeah. Not that I thought Andromeda was bad.
No, Andromeda was still really good. It just wasn't Mass Effect 3 good.
Right. So yeah. 2 was amazing.
That it was better than 1, better than Mass Effect the original, because that game had an amazing story but really bad gameplay.
That's true. Although 3 had so much within it that was so amazing. It's just the ending was disappointing.
And that's why 2 is my favorite.
Yeah, 2, the ending was so satisfying.
Yeah, 2 was good all the way through. 3 was good all the way through until the very end, which unfortunately was the end of a 3 game, hundreds of
Right.
hours of gameplay invested into it, and to have it be like, doesn't matter what you do, a game that was all about choices through the entire thing, having those choices follow you across multiple games. And at the end, it's like,
I
whatever.
Yeah, which is so disappointing because I would argue that 3, everything in that game was so much better than 2. I mean, like, I don't know. When I was playing that game, like every encounter in it, I was like, holy cow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And then, like, the next encounter, I was like, wow, this is even more amazing than that last one.
Yeah.
And, like, that continued through the entire game until the very end. And then I was just like, well, that was a huge letdown.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so people hated it, and I can't hate it because I was like, everything about that game was so amazing until the end, which was disappointing. If I can just say how much I loved everything else, I loved that game.
Mm-hmm.
But it is hard to forget the ending because it was so disappointing.
Yeah. For me, the ending made it a 9.9 instead of 10.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, I can't give it a 10 because the ending was bad.
Yeah.
But
such a good game. I did think that, surprisingly, I thought that Andromeda actually did make improvements to the combat system, which I thought was hard to do because Mass Effect 3 played so well.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
I'd like to see what they do with it. I'd like for them to bring some of the people that worked, because they took that team and they did that other game. What's that other game that's going to come out by them?
Anthem?
Yeah, they did. The original Mass Effect team did Anthem.
Oh,
at least
I didn't
that's
know
what
that.
I heard. So I'd like to see some of them come back to Mass Effect along with the creative director and take it to new heights.
Yeah, I'm very excited. That was a tangent we weren't planning on.
Oh yeah, no, that's okay. That's how we roll with the punches.
Yeah. Mass Effect.
So
to
sum things up, Fallout 76 is Devin's current addiction.
Yeah, I love Fallout 76. Now that we've spent half an hour talking about Mass Effect. What's your current addiction, Joe?
My current addiction is mini painting.
Oh yeah.
I've never been one for arts and crafts. Never been into it. Never enjoyed it that much. But actually, you started painting minis, and streaming it, and it kind of piqued my interest a little bit. And then a guy at work brought in. He does Warhammer, so he has hundreds of minifigures.
Okay.
So he brought his in, and he said, "Hey, you guys, if you want to learn how to paint minis, we can do that." On Fridays, for the last hour of the day, they let us. It's team building is what they call it, but we just call it Game Friday. We usually play like Heroes of the Storm or Diablo or StarCraft, some video game. But I started painting figurines with my coworker for Game Friday. He's taught me a few tricks. I had a Dungeons and Dragons board game that came with like 50 minifigures. I brought those in. He's been teaching me, and for me, the more intricate and like the smaller the figurine and the more intricate I can make it, the more satisfying.
Right.
I just really enjoy like when I've got this little tiny little figurine. We've been painting all my goblins, and they're just little guys, and we're getting like the belt buckles on their belts, and adding he has metallic paint, so we're doing like we're using a dry brush technique to put the metallic paint on, so it looks really like kind of worn but still metallic.
Right.
And then going back through, so he's teaching me how to do washes, dry brushing, and then going back in and highlighting. So some of my goblins look freaking amazing.
That's awesome.
I think I showed you the picture, didn't I?
You did.
Yeah.
I've got my guy. He doesn't look amazing.
Oh yeah, he
looks really blurry.
I can't
Because
see the detail
camera.
of that camera, but from here it looks
There
like
is
the
no
best
detail.
thing ever.
There's no detail.
We'll have to stream together sometime. One of these times for nerds, regular Nerds from Nowhere stream, we should get together and paint some minis.
We'll just sit here for an hour and not talk, just paint.
Yeah, the podcast version of that's going to be super exciting.
Yeah, people are gonna love it. It's just gonna be silence.
What we'll do is we'll hire Anthony Hopkins to narrate what we're doing. So he'll be like, they're painting. They're still painting.
I think we should get Morgan Freeman.
Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, some people are Anthony Hopkins guys, some people are Morgan Freeman guys.
That's true.
You know what? They'll do it together in harmony.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
wait, hang on. Back up. James Earl Jones, Morgan Freeman, Anthony Hopkins, and Liam Neeson. Barbershop Quartet.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Yep.
The only other person I was thinking of was his name just left me. The guy who sings "Tiptoe Through the Tulips," Tiny Tim. Is he still alive?
I have no idea. Probably. We'll get him.
Yeah, because then you got all these guys with nice, deep voices that are really beautiful, and then you got that guy.
Well, you do need, if it's going to be a quartet, you really do need somebody in the higher ranges, I suppose.
Yes.
Let's take a quick break. Do you have any sponsors that you'd like to mention?
Yeah, we always have sponsors. Just give me a moment while I make one up.
Okay, while you think about that, let me mention our Patreon page, www.nerdsfromnowhere.com/love. Will take you to our Patreon page where you can subscribe for bonus content like our very special Patreon only Nerds from Nowhere After Dark.
After Dark.
You can listen to us be ourselves and not have to edit anything. We talk about a larger range of subjects, some of which are a little bit more sensitive. So we don't put it on our mainstream thing because we don't want people to be offended. But we figure if you're paying for it, you probably don't mind too much. So we have a different kind of fun on Nerds from Nowhere After Dark, and those episodes are available to our Patreon subscribers. And there are other things that you can get, like a Nerds from Nowhere email address that will forward to your regular email, or a T-shirt.
Yeah, personalized T-shirt.
Personalized T-shirt designed by one of the Nerds from Nowhere, probably Devin.
Probably me. Yeah. So it'll be poorly designed, but it will be designed by me.
Yeah, it'll be great. So definitely check that out. We really appreciate it. We're trying to make sure that we can keep doing this. So if you want more episodes of Nerds from Nowhere, that's the best way to make sure that can happen.
Yeah, we'd really appreciate it. Our other sponsor this week is back hair. Everyone loves back hair. It keeps you warm and toasty. I should know.
Thank you to our sponsor, Back Hair. I am not only am I president of the fan club, I am a customer. I don't remember how that saying goes. I have back hair. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That wasn't clear.
It is just fine. It's just fine.
Um,
My wife had this idea for us to do a quick question round. I don't know. Do you want to? Should we each answer each question, or do you want to go one by one? How do you want to do this, Devin?
that's a good question.
I know.
Good question,
A quick
Ren.
question.
And you asked a good question. Let's each answer it,
Okay.
I guess.
All right. Let's try and get through
Sure.
these quickly, if possible. We're kind of long-winded, but we'll see what we can do. Devin, what
Yeah.
is your favorite color?
Purple.
Brown.
Nice.
A movie you remember from your childhood.
Well, there's the obvious ones. I obviously the nerdy ones and all that, but I'm gonna say this is gonna sound terrible. Pretty Woman. We had it
What?
recorded off of TV.
Okay, whatever helps you sleep at night. I'll mention Milo and Otis. Me and my best friend growing up would watch that on sleepovers quite frequently.
All right.
The next question you came up with, hamsters? Question mark?
Yeah, hamsters. Question mark. I'm gonna say yes.
Also with a question mark?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say yes with an exclamation point.
Oh. All right.
I had a hamster. Her name was Ruffles. She had like 20 kids and then died in the wall.
Well, that's gross.
Yeah, it was sad. I've dealt with the loss now.
Well, that's good. That is good.
When did you begin considering yourself a nerd?
Probably around the time I realized what a nerd was.
Mm-hmm.
And or when that became not an insult.
Yeah, because I remember as a very young kid, if you said nerd, there was a very specific picture. Thick glasses with tape in the middle, pocket protector,
Right.
pens, right? It's like, well, I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
a nerd. I'm not a freaking nerd. Look at that guy. That dude's a freaking nerd.
Yeah.
Not that
Yeah.
there's anything wrong with that look. A lot of people sport it, both ironically and unironically these days. But at the time, it was a very negative thing. So
Yeah.
I didn't really consider myself a nerd, even though I was always into computers, always into video games, very traditionally nerdy things. But, at some point, I just accepted it, at least by high school.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I actually accepted it in high school, to be honest. But I knew I was into that kind of stuff.
Yeah. What is your favorite fandom?
Oh gosh. Shoot. Come back to me in a second.
Okay.
I'm thinking.
It's hard to choose. I'm just going to say one, and the other fandoms, don't take any offense because I love you all. I'm going to pick Star Wars.
Yeah,
I love
that's. I'm torn. I'm gonna say DC,
Okay.
the comic books.
Comic books and animation. Throw that in there.
Oh yeah, the animation is good. Not
Animation's-
the movies. Not the movies.
Hit or miss on the live action movies, but the animation stuff is great.
The animation stuff is fantastic.
Hottest Avenger core group only, no duplicate answers. I'm adding that.
Oh, okay. Hottest Avenger. Captain America.
Yeah, I mean, he's really sexy. For me, it's a tie between Black Widow and Hawkeye.
That makes sense. Yeah, I could have said Black Widow, but no, I went with Captain America. Just straight up.
Hey, you don't want to be predictable, right?
Right.
A bunch of people are like, well, duh, Black Widow. But, I mean, have you seen Chris Evans?
Yeah. Have you seen that man?
He's very attractive. I'll admit,
Extreme.
I'm confident enough in my sexuality that I can say Chris Evans.
Yeah. I'm unconfident enough in my sexuality that I can say Chris Evans.
Any area on the spectrum, it's still okay. Yeah.
I think I'm hilarious.
Do you have a favorite Weird Al song?
It's a toss up for me. It's either White and Nerdy or what's it called? The grammar one.
I don't know.
I can't think of the title of that song. It's all about grammar.
All right, yeah.
But I like those two a lot.
I'd have to probably go with... It's hard to pick because I've always been a fan of his. But I'm going to say... one of the polkas. I really enjoyed all of his polkas where he just mashes up all of the currently popular songs.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Nice.
My favorite one had the semi-charmed Life in the Middle. So then like do 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 do. It's pretty great. Favorite Disney sidekick?
Flounder?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. All of you Flounder fans, please hit us up on Twitter at Nowhere Nerds. Let us know that there's other people who like Flounder.
How could he not love Flounder?
No judgment, man. Flounder's great. He looks so squishy. Like wish I could give him a hug. Just like he looks soft.
Yeah. What about you?
Abu, totally Abu. I adore Abu.
Yeah, that's a better answer, but I'm sticking to Flounder.
If I could go back in time, I would name my dog Abu. Maybe he'd be better.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I love your dog. He's so well behaved.
Hey, he's very loving. Not
He is very
loving,
loving.
but very loving.
He is very loving.
He will love you to death.
Yes, he will.
This is past the holiday, but what's your favorite Thanksgiving dish?
Stuffing.
Stovetop or homemade?
Either. I'm not picky. If it's stuffing, I'm content. Unless it's bad.
I was gonna make a joke, but I'm just gonna move on. I like my family's always done this, and people think that this. I've heard people just disgusted with this, but I always almost made a casserole. I would do mashed potatoes, corn, turkey, and then gravy. And I love it. It's delicious. So I'll call that my favorite dish.
That sounds good. I like that.
What is your least favorite pudding?
Probably chocolate.
I'm gonna do two, because there's two different categories. There's least favorite pudding that I've tried, and least favorite pudding that I refuse to try. The least favorite pudding that I've tried, butterscotch. Not a fan. Least favorite that I'll never try, blood pudding.
I've actually had blood pudding. That is my least favorite.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me of that.
You're welcome. Dream of that tonight.
Yeah. Not good.
Favorite
Actually, it's
villain?
not terrible, but it's definitely worse than chocolate.
Yeah. If someone was like, "Hey, Devin, I got this nasty chocolate pudding or this delicious blood pudding," you'd be like, "I'll still take the nasty chocolate."
Yeah.
What's your favorite villain?
Like, out of all villains in the universe?
Yeah, out of any villain.
Oh, dang, that's hard. That's really hard. Um, Doomsday. He took down my favorite superhero.
Mine is Kilgrave.
Oh, that is such a good answer. That is such a good answer. Your answer is better than mine. Mm.
Just, and maybe it was just the way that David Tennant played him, or the way they wrote the character in Jessica Jones season 1. But I never had so much hatred and so much sympathy for a character at the same time.
Yeah.
I just
No,
wanted,
that's
like, part of me just wanted to, like, hold him and make sure that he was going to be okay, and the other part of me was like, murder him in the face immediately.
right.
Murder his face. Name a movie you hate.
Movie I hate. Transformers.
Any particular one, or starting with number 1 and going and all of them henceforth?
I think just the first one. Well, probably all of them, really. But it just it didn't do it for me, and everybody loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like the plot of that movie. Well, the plot was okay, but it set up like all of these characters. There were so many characters in that movie. It was like, hey, we've got this soldier, we've got these hackers, and we've got all these people. None of them have any influence on the plot whatsoever. We only care about Shia LaBeouf, but we're going to introduce all of them and forget about them within 5 minutes of the movie. You're welcome. And I was like, what is this movie? Why does it exist?
Well,
it annoys me.
And it's too bad, because if you go back and watch the old Transformers TV show, or even better, the movie, they actually do a pretty good job with character development. Like, you actually understand why some of the characters are the way they are, which is kind of rare for cartoons of that era.
Yeah. And I like the Transformers, and I think it could have been great, but it was like they started making a movie, and then they were like, no, never mind. We're just going to focus on explosions for a while.
Well, I mean, that's what you get with Michael Bay, right? It's not really character-driven. It's explosion-driven, which is fine.
Yeah.
It's a fine way to be. People like that. I prefer a little bit more character work. But to each his or her own. If you like Transformers, I don't hate you. I just don't understand it.
And I don't think it was necessarily a terrible movie. And I think my complaint on it was, why introduce them if they don't matter? Like, if you want the movie to be about explosions and one character, that's fine. Don't introduce the other characters if they don't serve a purpose. Like, if you're just going to have the one character there to be like, hey, there was a virus, don't introduce them and have a backstory so that they can do one thing and then you can forget about them. Like, It was really dumb, in my opinion. Yeah. It bothered me.
I'll tell you mine, Lucy. I am a big Scarlett Johansson fan. I think she's beautiful. I think she's a tremendous actress. I think she has a great range. Lucy was, in my opinion, the worst movie ever made. With the only redeeming quality of the movie was that I got to watch Scarlett Johansson in it.
Which is a good redeeming quality, let's be honest.
I mean, yeah, but you could watch a good movie and also be able to look at her at the same time.
That's a valid point. I'm just saying there is a redeeming quality there.
I feel like it was written by some 6th graders. Like, that was the kind of story that I would have just really bought into when I was a very small child and my brain was not yet fully developed. You know? Right. And it was so off the wall. You have Morgan Freeman's character up there. He's like, humans only use 10% of their brain. False. But out of nowhere, he just like pulls out of his butt. People think that if you use 35% of your brain, that you could just start controlling stuff with your mind. Why would people believe that? And he's like, no one knows what happened if you used 100% of your brain. Maybe you would melt and turn into a space computer. No one knows. But that's what happens.
Everybody knows that if you use 100% of your brain, you melt and turn into a space computer.
Yeah.
It's been proven.
And then when you die, you turn into a flash drive with the entirety, like all possible available knowledge of the universe.
Yeah.
Really, really good stuff. I hate it. It's the worst.
I thought it was brilliant beyond all comprehension.
And I'm sorry if you liked it. I don't understand you as a person.
Brilliant.
I will very rarely try and isolate people because I want everybody to have positive feelings toward each other. But if you're like, that's my favorite movie, it's like, I just don't know why you're listening to this podcast right now because we have nothing in common. We've got a couple of least favorites. Tell me your least favorite musical instrument.
Recorder flute.
Yes. I'm going to go with the Jew's harp because it's racist.
Good answer.
Least favorite laundry item to fold.
Fitted sheets.
Yeah, they're the worst. I think everybody agrees with that. If you don't, you probably loved Lucy. How many dogs are in my lap or your lap?
Wait, do I say how many are in your lap, or do I say how many in my lap?
I want you to guess how many are in my lap, and then tell me how many are in your lap.
Well, I have to guess, and then you have to guess.
Okay.
I'm guessing 3 are in your lap.
False.
False?
Yeah, let me look. In fact, not even in the room with me, as far as I can tell.
Dang.
I know. I'm going to guess that there are 1 dogs in your lap.
False. There are no dogs in my lap.
It's like he heard me. My dog just walked in, although he's not in my lap.
My dog is locked out of the room at the moment.
Yeah, take that, buddy.
Yeah, jerk.
The last one. What is your opinion on eggnog?
I think it's fine.
I don't like it. I'm just a negative Ned tonight.
Joe hates everything.
My wife loves it, and we're married, so it's fine. Like, if you have a different opinion on eggnog, that's cool. She loves it. I don't. She never has to worry about me drinking her eggnog.
Oh, that's good. Every now and then I'm like, eggnog sounds great.
Are there other types of nog in the world?
Beef nog.
Beef nog. I think that would be really terrible.
Yeah. As far as I know, there's only eggnog, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
We should find out.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm going to scour the universe for a different type of nog.
Yeah, because at some point, like, I've only ever heard of eggnog. I think that you could drop the egg part if there's no other type of nog. It's at least the most common type of nog. So you could just say, hey, you want some nog? It would save time.
You would think so.
Mm-hmm. And probably money. Like, you don't have to pay the egg people to use the name.
Yeah. What is nog? What does nog mean?
I don't know.
We're getting existential here.
We're going long. We need to wrap this up. You want to tell me your future excitement?
So my future excitement is something that I did not think I would be excited for. Mostly because I never even played this game. Well, I've played it once, but I saw the trailer for Detective Pikachu, and I thought that movie looked really entertaining. So I'm kind of excited for it.
Awesome. Detective Pikachu. Coming to a theater near you next year, I think.
Yeah, sometime next year. I don't know when. What about you, Joe? What are you excited for?
My wife got me a new book of rules for a new tabletop RPG called Goblin Quest. The premise of the game is you play 5 different goblins in a row, and you're trying to accomplish some quests, but they just die off in hilarious ways, one by one, and you probably don't do the thing that you were trying to do anyway.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, I think it could be way fun. We'll have to play it one of these days.
Yeah. I like dying.
Yeah, we all do.
Sounds weird.
Especially if you get to just inhabit the brain of another creature immediately and lead it to its death.
That does sound fun.
Well, thank you everybody for listening and for watching. If you want to hit us up, you can reach us on Twitter at Nowhere Nerds, on Facebook at fb.me/nerdsfromnowhere, or by email at thenerds@nerdsfromnowhere.com.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.